Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, in chapter 21, Surah 107. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. The translation says, and thus we, O Prophet, we have sent thee as an evidence of our grace toward all the world. In more simple English, it says basically, we have sent you not but mercy to all the world. Slower or? We have sent you not but mercy to all the world. A scholar who studied this very brief surah said that the essence of Islam and the message of the Prophet Muhammad is mercy, because specifically said without the mercy, the message of Islam and the messengership of the Prophet Muhammad would be nullified. So the mercy is the most important part of it. The second part of the surah, it says, لِلْعَالَمِينَ, to all the worlds. Many scholars have tried to fathom and understand what exactly meant by that. Some of them said that it meant by the world of humans and jinn. Others said it is by the heavens and earth. Even the Prophet might be sent as a mercy to angels. But others said it is to all God creations. God creation including humans and animals. And Islam emphasized mercy to animals above and beyond most of our religion did before. It was kind of revolutionary how much the Prophet Muhammad emphasized the humanity to animals. And he preached that during his time in Mecca and Medina. He invalidated some bad habit that the Arabs used to do in the way they treated the animals and the way they used them. The other thing that probably a lot of people do not understand, that as part of God's creation we are all equal. And the way we are equal is much more than we actually understand and fathom. In the surah, in ayah 6, surah 12 in the Quran, it says in there, قل لمن في السماوات والأرض كتب الله على نفسه الرحمة ليجمعنكم إلى يوم القيامة لا ريب فيه الذين خسروا أنفسهم فهم لا يؤمنون. Unto whom belongs all that is in heaven and earth, say unto God, who has willed upon himself the law of grace and mercy. Basically it states that God also, who is God of everything and he does not have to do anything, he put on himself an order that he will be merciful to everybody. He could have been anything else, or God could have been nothing of the above, but he insisted that mercy it is. To go back to the equality of human and men, God says in Surah 33, verse 72, إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَ أَنْ يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. Verily, we did offer the trust of reason and volition to the heavens and earth and the mountains, but they refused to bear it because they were afraid of it. Yet man took it up, for verily he has always been to be the most wicked, the most foolish. This surah, probably not too many people pay attention to it, but it tells us about an important event before the existence of our universe. There was a world that some of the scholars call the world of witness. We are all existed as souls, as being only in essence. All of us human, animals, and everything you can see on earth, mountains, heavens, everything existed as essence. And God offered the trust, the ability to distinguish between good and bad, and everybody said no, except the human took it upon himself. So we are not above any of God's creation. We were all equal, but probably all God's creation were smarter than us, and they refused to take that trust. So when you look at animals, do not look at them as less smart or less valuable. At one point, we all stood alike on the same plane, on the same importance. and we made the choice, which is God described that it was a foolish choice. So if anything, probably the animals, the heaven, the earth, the mountain were smarter than us. So think about that the next time you see an animal, and think probably he's not smarter than you. The Prophet also told us specifically about acts that relates to animal, which could bring people to hellfire or to heaven, just for specifically what they do. And he told us a story of two people who were probably going in the other direction, but one of them went to hellfire and one of them went to paradise just because their action toward an animal. The Prophet told us of a story of a man was walking in the desert by himself, and he was extremely thirsty. He was perished. He was about to die because of thirst. Finally, he found a little well, and he saw that there is water in there. So he climbed down, and he drank, and he satisfied his thirst. And he climbed up, and the minute he got up, he found a dog standing there, and the dog looked extremely thirsty. So he thought to himself, this dog probably was thirsty as much as I am, and if I leave him like that, he will die. So the man did not have anything to carry the water with, and it was not easy to climb up and down. The Prophet told us the man went down to the well, and he used his shoe. He filled it with water, and he grabbed the shoe with his mouth. And he went up and down several times, and every time giving the dog a little more water until the dog was satisfied and left on his own. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looked at this man, and he said, this man had so much mercy on this animal. I have a lot more mercy than this man. And he decided to put this man in the paradise just for a single act that he did. Then he told us of the other side of the equation, a woman who found a cat, and she took the cat and kept it in a room and locked it. And the Prophet said she did not let her out to eat on her own, and she did not feed the cat. So God was angry for her inhumane action and decided to send her to hellfire for that act. So let's all be very careful on what we do with animals. And that's probably one of the reasons, me personally, I dislike the places where they take animals and they put them to sleep because they cannot find owner for them. I say if you can't feed them, just let them out in the prairie or somewhere. Allah will take care of them, or they will die, but it will be on their own, not in our hand. That's very inhumane and Islamic. Probably if we read hadith, we hear the name of the Sahaba and we get to know them. And one of the Sahaba probably mentioned the most in hadith because he mentioned, because he carried to us the most hadith on the Prophet, a companion called Abu Huraira. If you read the book of hadith like Bukhari and Muslim, you read the name of Abu Huraira more than any other companions. And not too much is known about him, but we know a little bit about his name. And if you read his name in Arabic, Huraira, it's a word in Arabic meaning kittens. So why would this man called by the name of kitten? Abu means the father of, but it doesn't mean obviously the father of kittens. But usually if a man is associated with an attribute, they call it just like that with people. So I read about him, and it turned out that Abu Huraira was a man. He was going to the mosque one day, and he found in the road a few kittens, and they were left alone by themselves. Their mom was not around, and he was afraid that they would be hurt. So he carried them and he put them in his thobe, and he went to prayers, and he actually stood there and did the prayer with the Prophet, and he sat around with him. Then after that, they noticed some noise coming out of his dress, and they wondered what it was, and they saw the kittens. So everybody laughed, and the Prophet called him Abu Huraira from that day. But that probably goes against some of the very considerate people who said that the animals are unclean, and if you keep them in your home, you cannot pray. Here is one of the Prophet companions stood and prayed while he holding a few kittens, and God knows what they did in his dress. So animals are clean, animals are beautiful, animals are lovable. And here's one of the Prophet companions who could not leave a little kitten standing by itself, and he took care of her. So let's learn from Abu Huraira, and inshallah take care of animals. Maybe that animal will be our way to paradise. And of course, the Muslim nation after the Prophet kept on the tradition of taking care of animals. in one of the most advanced stages of the Islamic Empire during the Abbasid dynasty. The situation of the Islamic Empire was very good. People were very rich and prosperous, and they took care of the small thing that they did not before. I read in the book of Ibn Khaldun about the way things were in Damascus, that people had so much money, they had a house for animals who are retired. If somebody used a horse or a donkey all their life to carry things, and when that horse or donkey became old or too old to work, they took them to this house where they can live in peace and eat and sleep until they die naturally. They did not kill them, they did not murder them, they showed mercy on them, and they gave them places to retire. I wish they treat human beings sometime this way, but at least this is the highest level of implementation of this message of Islam. Be good to animals and inshallah follow them through. So basically that's what Allah told us, and again let's remember that the more mercy you show people, the more mercy you show animals, inshallah the more mercy Allah will show us in our heart. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Praise be to God. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Praise be to God. Thank to Him for all what He gave us. The second part of the khutbah, I just would like to remind each other of just God, as God told us to keep animals in our heart and take care of them. Let's take care of each other and help each other along. I'd like to say prayers. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Oh Allah, please forgive our sins and please help us to absorb your Quran and your message into our heart and implement it into our life.